Good morning. This is the 13th of February 2013. I'm Dr. Jack Herlin, a volunteer and docent at the Palm Springs Air Museum in Southern California. Part of our mission is to record and preserve the history of our country's military conflicts, especially World War II. As part of the Veterans History Project of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., we conduct interviews of veterans and civilians who participated in those conflicts. Today I'm on location at the Covenant Village of Colorado in Westminster, Colorado. And today I have the honor and privilege of interviewing Lieutenant George Graffy. Lieutenant Graffy, prior to becoming an American citizen, was a fighter pilot in the Hungarian Air Force from 1942 through 1945. He flew with the 101st Fighter Group of the Royal Hungarian Air Force, also known as the Pumas. So we're going to talk to him about this and several other areas of interest. It's a privilege and a pleasure to have you with me this morning, Lieutenant. Thank you. And we'll be right back with Lieutenant George Graffy. Lieutenant, please pronounce and spell your full name.
My name is George Graffy, G-R-A-F-F-Y, that's my last name. And George, of course, G-E-O-R-G-E. I don't have a middle initial.
Okay. And where were you born and when?
I was born in Des, D-E-S. It's a nice town in Transylvania. At that time was Hungary. Now it is Romania.
I'm going to pan over to a map that I've got here. Can you show me just about where you were born on this small little map? We first of all see. Okay. First of all, where is Hungary now?
Hungary is the red area. That's today's Hungary. At the time I was born, Hungary was a little bit bigger. And then President Wilson, from political point of view, they took the area I was born in and gave it to Romania because Romania was a politically more trustworthy thing. And I was born in Transylvania. This is about this area here. It belongs to Romania now, East Romania. It is at the confluence of the Samos River.
Okay. How do you spell that river?
S-Z-A-M-O-S.
Okay. And we'll get back to you here now in just a minute. What kind of a town is Des?
Des is a very old town. Already existed when the Tatars and Mongols came through Hungary 1,000 years ago. It is located in the middle of 7, let's call it mountains. As I said, it's a confluence of the Samos River. It is Little Samos and Big Samos. The confluence there, and from then on is only Samos. The town basically consists of several groups of housing. One is the Jewish town. When Poland kicked out all the Jews from Poland 300 years ago, they came to Hungary and they built their houses and stayed in Des. And even today, they live there. The other part, the larger part of the town were Hungarians. They were all kind of a middle-class type of people. And the outside of town there is and there was a small place built by Romanians who came from Moldavia. This was a good little town to have businesses. We had about 80,000 people at the time.
Is that
I
right?
don't know now how many. And I was born there. My wife was my father was working for the railroad. And of course my mother was a homebody. She was raising me and my sister. At that time, wives didn't go to work.
What was your father's name?
My father's name is the same as mine, George Graffy.
And yours the second?
I am George Graffy the second, and my son is the third.
Oh,
He's living in Texas.
okay, we'll get to him in a moment. What about your mother? What was your mother's maiden name?
My mother's maiden name is Székely Katalin. Katalin is first name.
And where was she born?
She was born in Décs. My father was born in Teke, T-E-K-E. Well, that was a small town, but the same way was a portion, just like many towns in Transylvania. You had the Hungarian town, you had the Romanian, and you had the German.
Like neighborhoods.
Yes, right. Everybody spoke 3 languages,
Is that right?
and they never had any problem.
The 3 languages of those 3?
Well, they had to, because the Romanians home they thought was Romanian. They went to some kind of official office. They had to speak at one time Hungarian, and when the Romanians had that town, that Romanian, and in school, it all depends again who owned the town.
What did your father do for work?
He was working in a railroad, and him and his group of people were manufacturing the steam containers. My father somehow became the chief of the group. He was Uncle George. And after they'd done 2 or 3 of the steam containers, they mounted a locomotive and they went for a ride. Sometimes didn't come back for 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, they went in a wine area, and they tasted the wine also. And I know for a fact. And when they come home, then my wife and other wives, they were quite upset every time. But next time they finished 4 or 5 of the containers, they went again. It was a good life, easy life, until, of course,
Well, where you went to school there? You started in...
I went there to kindergarten to be the sisters.
How old, who is your sister? What is her name?
My sister, Margaret,
She is younger than you?
she's 2 years younger.
2 years.
Yeah.
Is she living today?
No, no, she died 6 years ago.
Now, when you were young, probably before you even went to school, kindergarten, did you have playmates around that you used to play with?
Yeah, sure.
What kind of games did you play?
I couldn't tell you, but it had something to do with war, running after each other and catching the Indians. We knew about the Indians
You did?
that existed, yeah. And
Cowboy and Indians.
yeah, not cowboys. We never knew about the cowboys at the time, but we knew about the Indians.
Okay.
Besides, we knew that the Indians never went to school, so they were very easy to catch because they couldn't think Hungarian.
I see.
Well, he was small. And then at age 3, we all went to kindergarten.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And that was a full day or a half a day?
I think it was a full day because when we came home, I had dinner.
Mm.
So That's, in the morning when I went, other people went to work too. So little guys like me,
And what language did you learn to read and spell?
Hungarian.
Hungarian.
You know, we were Hungarians
In
that
that
lived.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
What was the
And-
name of the school?
Oh, it was the base Catholic kindergarten, Catholic school, Catholic grammar school.
So
Well,
it was
those-
a Catholic school.
Yes.
Did you
yeah.
continue in school there to the school?
Well, I went there for only for 4 years, and after that, still the same town. In the meantime, the town became a Romanian, be called Romania at the time, and Romanians didn't like people to talk Hungarian because the Hungarians were very selfish. They wanted to have their town back to Hungary as it used to be for hundreds of years.
Yes.
You know. So anyway, I went to the commercial school for 4 years
In Dej?
in Dej, and that was in Romanian language. So I learned Romanian to go to the school. We also had a lyceum in town, but as a Hungarian, I was not admitted.
What is that? What was that?
I was not admitted. Only Romanians were admitted
To where?
to the lyceum. So I had to go to the
Was that
commercial
a
school.
different school than the commercial school?
Oh yeah, that was a lyceum, as a high school, but that was only for people who were Romanians.
Understand.
And I could have become a Romanian in no time, just change my name. And that was done normally. People, just to be able to get some benefits
Yeah.
of going to school or something, they changed their names.
What kind of activities were you involved with in school, in high school?
Well,
Was that a high school?
the first 4 years, no, it was a commercial high school, let's put it that way. We learned everything about selling things and taking care of manufactured goods, and because at that time the Romanians, and I think the entire area was anti-Semitic, quite some, because the Polish Jews who came to live there after they have been expatriated, they, like any other place, they were great in business, so they had the stores. They were great in banking, so they had a bank, and so forth. And people are jealous if somebody's doing well. So the Romanians made sure that everybody talks Romanian.
Was the commercial school a Catholic school as well?
No, that was a state school,
What kind of religious upbringing did you have in your home?
Catholic.
Catholic.
Yeah.
And you went to the Catholic church?
Yes.
Do you remember the name of that church?
No, I don't think it had any special name. I will remember. So I went there for 40 years.
Were you involved in any sports at all? Did it have any sports or activities?
Well, only soccer, and as I remember the soccer ball, we made it for brags. Wrapped around rag after rag after rag, and that was it. Well,
Sure.
it was almost 100 years ago. The economy was very different.
Yeah.
And then I reached the age of 14 when I wanted to go to the Lyceum, but I still didn't want to change my name to Romanian. You know how it is, that if they force you to do something, you don't do it.
Of course.
And my wife, my father, he was thinking the same way. He was not going to change his name. So we moved to Kolozsvár.
And where was that?
That was 60 miles south of this, because there they had Hungarian high schools. Okay, but so I didn't know, of course, why we moved when I was very, very happy to be in Daesh. But so we moved.
Did your father work at this new place?
No, he stayed and he traveled on train back and forth every day. Yeah, but it was a hardship, but they did it for me, so I can have a full high school.
Did you live in an apartment then?
No,
Or a home?
we always had our own home. Yeah.
And was it a suburban area or was it right in town?
Well, it was the outskirts of town.
How did you get to school?
Walking.
How far was it?
Well, I was walking for a good half an hour. We always walked to the kindergarten. 3 years old, was chugging along.
What are the winters like there?
Well, we had real winters. It started to snow sometimes in October, and until May we had snow, and we loved it, us kids. Our house in Daesh was on a slope of one of the mountains, and boy, oh boy, we slid down there, and I was even going to school. When my mother didn't look after us anymore, we sat on our school bags and slid down the mountain. It was just great. And when we came home, it's amazing. I did homework first, and then outside, we had a sled and go up and down, all winter. As a kid, I loved it.
Who were some of your friends there? Who were some of your playmates or friends?
Well, there were a lot, many of them. You want names?
Well, only if you had a special one that you'd like to pal around with.
Yeah, we had Peter. He was a good boxer later on, and then I boxed with him. So by the time I got to the high school, that's what we did. After weekends, we went boxing to the club.
In the club?
Yeah, that was a cheap way to exercise, I think.
Did you have a coach?
Oh yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you have boxing teams in the schools?
Well, not in a school, but there was a club
In the
that
club.
you belong if you wanted to, and I wanted to.
What was your weight at that time?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I was a skinny kid like everybody else. But, we didn't box according to the weight groups. If you found somebody who was wicked, then you boxed with him. It was.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then what is interesting to me, that again, you had the Romanians, the kids you go to school with, they were just as Hungarian as anybody else. There was no any distinction, but the government made people segregate each other.
Yes.
So boxing was also a good thing. You boxed the Romanian group and the Jewish group. You know, we had Orthodox Jewish community in this, yeah. And they had this long hair here. They always wear a hat and all that thing. In school, they forgot what they were. They threw their head down and they boxed just like anybody else. And that's why I cannot discriminate even today, because when you are a kid, okay, you are just like everybody else. And then you got bigger and you learn to discriminate. It was great.
Were you a good student
Yeah.
in school?
Yeah, I was. That's the way, I mean, that was the reason father moved the family to Colosval because you always had to have an entrance exam. And I always passed it with flying colors for whatever reason. I did like school. In fact, when I had my last four classes in a Hungarian high school, I was having my own income by tutoring others. The teacher picked some people from the class, said, you go to this house and they want you to teach TAVE or this and that, because same like here. Some people did well, some people didn't. And the ones that didn't, they were not dumb. They were just lazy or something. So they had to have somebody to every night make sure the homework is done. And
did you have any experience with music of any sort?
yeah. My father was in a railroad band. He was playing the clarinet most of the time, but he played any kind of music that you had to blow in it. Yeah.
What kind of band was it? Was it a popular band?
Yeah, there were no, it was well, I don't know what to say.
Marching band?
Marching band is better, yeah. And also my father played the violin home. Like Sunday afternoon he played the violin, and apparently I was interested because they bought me a violin. I was about 10, 12 years old, and then Sundays we played with my father, and my mother was so happy that I played the violin.
Did your mother teach you?
No, we had a gypsy violinist coming to the house, you know, from the gypsy band.
Well, now that you mention it, yes, explain the gypsy part. Identify what that means.
Well, first of all, the gypsies looked different. They were dark, just like Negroes are, okay? But they had white features, you know, sharp nose and all the thing. And any other way, they were a unique group of people. First of all, they like to steal your chicken and eat it. They stole your pig and ate it. I never knew a gypsy who worked. But good-looking people. They had a very good-looking woman in a tribe. But
what was their? Where did they come from?
Oh, for someplace in Asia.
They were mostly born in and around Hungary and Romania.
Yes. Well, they had been there already before I was there.
Yes.
So when I said that the town was consisted of 4 different groups of people, I forgot about the gypsies. Well, they didn't live in town. They had no house to live in. They had wagons, beautiful horses, and they lived in a wagon. Winter, summer, they were not sedentary. And also they had shady businesses. Like one family stole maybe 50 chickens from somebody, and the other family put it in the beautiful wagons and went to the next town that were not known and sold them. They were a pain in the... And the kids didn't go to school.
They did not?
Nope. And it is not because they wouldn't be allowed. It is just the gypsy family, they didn't believe in this kind of stuff. And they never went to church. So it was well, I was in love with one of the gypsy girls.
Were you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, How did you meet her?
Well, they were all over town, just like anybody else. I know how I met her, but she was beautiful.
She was one of the early girlfriends?
No, not girlfriends. I was only 10 years old.
Sure.
So the big love lasted for a year. So then I realized after 10 that she is gypsy. And you just didn't.
What name did she have? What?
Rosa. Rosa was her name.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Hungarian word for Rosie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. What other contacts did your father ever have a car?
Oh, no, oh no. I mean, in town, this is DAVE, okay? The first time we lived in town, we had a taxi stand with 2 Maruti Fords, and that was all I knew about cars.
So
Nobody had a car.
who drove the taxis?
Well,
Taxi drivers?
well, they owned it.
They owned it,
Yeah.
the owners.
Yeah. So the radio station was quite far away from our house, and summer vacations we always went to visit uncle here, uncle there, and we had to go to the train station, and that was the time that we made the arrangement for a taxi.
That's when you used
That was the only time.
But by and large, you had to walk to church, you had to walk to...
Walk all over because the town was too small for a public transportation or something. There was no public transportation. So everything that I just told you about is DAVE, the small town where I was born.
I understand.
Okay, because close by where I went to the last 4 years of my school, that was 500,000 people, and it's a beautiful town.
But you didn't have an automobile.
No. My first automobile that I ever drove was in the United States, in Connecticut.
All right, well, we'll get back to that. That's interesting. Did you have horses? Horse and wagon?
Yeah, oh yeah, yes. That was the main transportation, one way or the other. Yeah.
At home, where did you keep your horse?
Well, we didn't have a horse. Okay, there are people who use the horse for transportation or whatever. Well, there was a stall someplace that you could close in the winter time because the winters were cold, really cold. I would say that we didn't never get out of 0 for weeks or months. I loved it.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. And even under those circumstances, we boys, we all had short pants. Yeah, our kneecaps were blue from the cold, and we never realized that we're supposed to be cold.
It's fascinating.
It was
And
nice.
what was, mother stayed at home and worked?
Yes, yes, she stayed at home. She cooked, and while my sister and I were small, she had a maid from town. The way they worked at the time, I remember, all the poor farmers who had children in the surrounding area, they sent their daughters to go to these middle-class families in town to learn to cook and learn to read and write, and so that was an education for the young girls.
Sure.
And of course, they were the maids. They slept with, I mean, they lived there.
Yes.
Okay. And when she became old enough, she met an ex-soldier because there was a draft. And from 19 to 21, everybody was drafted. And when they come out from the army, well, we had mustache, and so the little girls got married quite early.
Mm-hmm.
So she sent her sister or cousin or somebody because They liked, well, the ones that lived with us, we liked them. And after we grew up, it just like a distant cousin. I went to visit them, and they had children. It was nice. So there was no washing machine and that kind of stuff. So when you had to wash the clothes and everything, they came in handy. That's the reason my mother had a maid. That's what I have to call them, but
Sure.
but a maid was just like family.
And was she working 5 days a week?
She lived there.
She lived with you?
She lived with us. She lived with us until suddenly I met the new maid, was the sister of the older maid, because she suddenly got married. Then I realized that big shindig that we had, everybody dancing and all that thing, because she was getting married.
Mm-hmm.
So after she got married, she didn't go to work anywhere else. She had her own family.
Interesting.
It was, the family got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I never looked at them as the maid. She was Cutty, that's the name. She was Cutty, and Cutty was just like my mother.
Part of the family.
Did things, Yeah.
What was your favorite subject in the high school?
In high school, well, I did like mathematics all the time, but I liked it because there was no homework.
There was no?
No homework.
Why was that?
Well, anything else, you got some beat up book and you have to read it and do things with book and read it. Now mathematics, you had to do nothing. You had the problem, you solved the problem, it's done. What?
How far did you go into mathematics?
Oh, who knows? I don't know how far I did go, but as far as you could, I presume.
What was the political scene about that time when you were 16, 17 years of age?
Oh, at that time, we belonged to Romania. And the high school I went to, now thinking back 8 years later, was a good school, very strict. And if you didn't do your things, you just were kicked out of school. There was no monkey business. The teacher thought that you don't perform, sent a letter with a Polish man to your father, and we don't want the kid anymore. So every class lost, well, I would say maybe 15–20% of the people who didn't do it, whatever I was supposed to do. But one thing I have to tell you, after kindergarten, I always went to school, there were only boys. I have never gone to school until college with girls, ever.
Why was that?
That's the way it was. You had boys' schools and girls' schools.
So
Very
there were girls' schools.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
What about the social life?
Well, see, we had, when you went to high school, you got a patch that you had to have sewn on your uniform at all times, quite large numbers. And if anyone saw you on the street doing something untoward to good behavior, they just told the school that, hey, George was doing this. And George was caught the next day. No questions asked if it was true or not. You have been punished, depending what it was. You had been punished in school, and usually, after that, you were punished by your father. Okay, the teacher was always right. And I had a teacher that I loved him. he knew, well, from now looking back, he knew everything, okay? We had no encyclopedias or anything like that. So any question you had about anything, you asked your teacher, and he knew the answers. In fact, when I went to the university in Kolozsvár to study economics, that was quite a handful of mathematics involved. And just because I came to school where Smoláček Bácsi, he was teaching us everything, including math.
Was that his name?
Yeah, Smoláček. Well, he was a First World War hero. Yeah, both of his arms were stiff because he got a bullet and nobody cared. He was. And well, we had a boys' school, and he knew how to raise boys. He had a bamboo stick about that long. And when there was every day, depending on what the subject matter was, there was question and answer. That means we sat in a row, and you had to hold your hand out like this, everybody. And he was walking up and down, and nobody knew who was going to be called to answer. So he said, "George, what's this?" And if I didn't answer real fast and give the right answer, the bamboo stick came down on my fingernails. So I learned to answer the question real fast.
Yes.
So on this part of high school, the last 40 years, it was customary to have a tutor to go to the house, and if the father wanted to pay you $1 a week or something like that, then you were tutoring at least make sure that the homework is done.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did.
This was a private school,
Yes,
Catholic?
yes.
Yes. You didn't have nuns, women,
And I didn't, the girls did.
girls?
The girls' high school was nuns all the way to
What was the
age.
name of the school, Lieutenant? Can you remember?
Catholic School of Day.
Okay.
No, we had, I mean, I don't remember if we had any kind of a name. Yeah, I did like school, and Smoláček Bácsi liked me because I knew the answers. Well, the only thing you had to do is listen, and what happened the day before, that's what the question we had. I don't think I had more than 2 books during my career.
Is that right?
Yeah, some pages missing and all. It's not only me, everybody. There was
Did you
just,
bring your lunch from school, to school?
yes, right,
So your mother made a lunch for you every morning?
right. But it was a small lunch because 2 o'clock we went home. I don't know what time we started in the morning, but 2 o'clock we went home.
Mm.
And
Did you work at all
during
during
school,
during school?
yes,
Part-time?
yes, it was, as I said, a commercial high school because I couldn't get into the sale. And we had an aunt who owned a grocery store. And everybody from school had to go every afternoon for 2 hours to work. So I started working in a grocery store first year. Second year, I worked in a Jewish bank. The third year, I worked in a candle making factory. It was 1 room. That was we made candles, okay. And then for the last year, I got into a grain wholesaler or whatever it was. He went out to the farmers, bought the grain, brought it in, and some people bought it for him. Like the army probably bought the grain from him, and so I was there already doing the accounting work.
This was after school? Or during the summers?
No, during the school.
During the summers.
Yeah. This last 4 years of school, you had to do 2 years, some kind of a service,
I see.
what you could get. And there was no way out.
What kind of pay did you make?
Pay? None.
None. Part of the school training.
Yes. And I had a little pink book. Every single day when I finished, I went away. I was rated by whoever I worked with. Well, you know, rated one line or something. Yeah. But they were in connection with the school. So.
Which job did you like the best?
Bank.
Why?
It was interesting. You had all kind of books, and in case you were helping the cashier, then at night you had to have a certain amount of money in your thing. And it was interesting.
What year did you graduate from that school?
Oh, what year? I think 39.
And you were how old?
1939, I think.
You were how old?
Oh, 17.
When did the war start to influence you people living in Hungary and Romania?
Well, actually in 1940, because 1940 the Germans already had East Europe, Hungary and whatever, and of course Hungary was told that you are our ally, period.
Mm.
And the German soldiers came in. It was nothing wrong with the German soldiers. They were civilized people, but
The philosophy.
the Hungarian army and air force and whatever else was influenced by the Germans. Like, take the air force. I think the 1944 was the first factory built to build Messerschmitts.
Mm.
Before that, we got planes from Italy and Germany. After that, we also got planes from them.
Now,
Same thing with the army.
how did you,
They got machine guns from these two countries.
were you conscripted by
Yep.
the army at a certain age?
Yes. Mhm.
Tell me about that.
Well, that's the thing that I know less, because I volunteered to be a pilot.
At what age was that?
19.
When did you see your first airplane?
Oh, maybe I was 10 years old or 8 or something. You see, one of the so-called mountains that surrounded DAVE was the cemetery. And that cemetery was old. We we did. You know, we went in the crypt that was built 1,000 years ago. You had some people, there was nothing left but hair and beard. But it was tremendous. People had been, at the time, that was 1,000 years before my time, people have been buried in the uniform, sabers. Oh, you don't believe what fun that was to stick your nose in there. Anyway, that thing had a kind of a road that went up because people had to carry the dead people up. And so it was maybe about 200 yards from our house, the place to go up. We went up, and then you saw what I mentioned before, the confluence of two rivers. And there, in the middle of the whole shebang, was a refinery. And, railroads came all the time with oil and they refined it and took away the gasoline. Anyway, it was the big thing in this. And every spring, there was the melting snow came down in those two rivers, and the entire city was inundated with water. Now, that refinery was built originally on, I don't know, 50 feet high, so that was always dry. And the owner always came to visit the factory in a plane, a small plane. And then we knew what time he's coming. I was already 9, 10 years old or something. Waiting and fighting and what boys do until the airplane came down. And you watched that wonderful thing, yellow and red, and came and landed, and a guy came out, he had a leather cap, and it just great. And then we waited until he was ready to take off. And we said, is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? So the no school, July and August, I was looking at the airplane.
Dreaming.
Yeah, I never thought that, you just fly an airplane, I thought, But then when I was the last 2 years of my high school, I call it high school because, that's and I don't want to keep saying that. Okay,
That's all right.
I was a Boy Scout, and one of our teachers was an ex-pilot. Okay, so he got some drawings, and we pasted together. I don't know what the name is now. The airplanes that fly without motor.
The glider.
Glider. So we made ourselves a real glider, working all winter, pasting it, taking it apart, and all that thing. And when the vacation came, then we went to the mountain by the railroad station. Okay. And we carried this thing. We carried one wing and the other wing, and so it was quite a job to take it. And we didn't have lightweight wood, okay? So it was heavy sometimes. And then we climbed up on a mountain and put it together and took turns. We had a long rubber, whatever they call it, rope. So we put it on the nose of the thing. You sit in it, it was your turn. And it was open. It was everything there but the cabin. So we were sitting on a ski thing. That was it. Watching so you won't fall off. And everybody who was not flying got on both ends of the rope. It was rubber. And we ran with it as far as we could. And after, a certain distance, who was in it, just pulled the lever up, and then he glided all the way down. Yeah, it was no accident, nothing ever.
No accident.
But if the plane or us, we couldn't do anything but glide all the way down. And the rest of the gang hoof it down. So by the time the plane got down, we were down, and carrying it up, and we loved it.
That must have been a thrill.
Yes, it was. I did that for 2 years until I graduated from school.
When, let me go back, when Germany took over Hungary,
Yeah.
did they come through in one day? I mean, did the one day they appear and take over, or what was the situation?
Well, I think it was because Hungary is small, you know, and the Germans had trucks. I mean, they didn't walk. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, probably one day, maybe two. But by that time, by the time they came, politically, we have been friendly.
You had been what?
Friendly politically.
Mhm, yes.
Okay, so the Hungarian politicians knew when the Germans come and provided for sleeping place or
Now,
whatever.
did you take a foreign language in school?
Yeah,
Was one of it German?
yeah. Well, I took French because we had a French teacher, and then he was also trying to teach us German. Well, we didn't know that he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. But French, he was a Frenchman basically. Okay, so when he was not drunk, then he learned French. It was an easy thing because the Romanian language basically is a manufactured language. I found out when I got older. See, Romanians have been a mixture of what you call them, Bulgarians, Greeks, and whatever kind of people lived down there, and they had to have a language around the First World War because Romania has been created. Now, what language you going to talk to? And many Romanian professors got together, and they all have been educated in France. So they took the French, the French language, the Latin language, and somehow they created an easy to use language, like what they speak today, a very, very good Romanian language.
I see. Now, the German language, though, you understood when they came in?
Yeah,
And you could understand what they wanted, and you could converse with them?
I could have, but they were the big shots. They were not interested what 17, 18-year-old want to say. Besides, I didn't want to say anything else. Looking at those trucks, you know, coming in and troop transports and all. I never saw before.
Did you ever make any friends with them here?
No, I was a kid, and they were the big man. No.
So you were 19 when you went
Yeah.
into the army, you volunteered.
Yeah.
Where did you volunteer, in what city?
In Kolozsvár, where we lived, you could volunteer, fill out some paper.
Did you go with any other friends or anything, or
No.
on your own?
No, on my own.
And where did they send you? What did they do?
Well, first of all, I had to give them a school paper that I'm not crazy. And then there was an examination, mental mostly, 2 days. I had never had such a tough examination in my life. I just wanted to see that you can do whatever, you know. And if you passed, then you went to a nice room with 2 doctors in it. And they looked at your heart and this and that. Right? And then came something I liked. Took us out. There was a running field. And had to run from here to there. And they time you So anyway, you had to be a good, healthy specimen. And then we went home, and some have been called in, some not, and I was called in.
And you were called in where and what to do what?
Well, I was called in to Szombathely. That's a Hungarian town. And yeah, that was a moving kind of a thing. I got uniforms, I got training, and for 2 years I was training to be a pilot. That's when you asked me the Bücker airplane. So we lived there and did exercises and same like, okay, and learn to do whatever you're told.
March.
Everything. Okay.
Now, how did you choose aviation? Or
Yeah.
Did they choose it for you?
No, I did.
You had a choice.
Yeah, that's the reason I volunteered to fly.
Okay.
If I had to fight the Russians, might as well do something. It's fun.
Yeah. And so the first plane you flew or trained in was the Bücker?
Yeah, right.
And describe that aircraft.
Well, it was a double-decker, German-made. It was the #1 trainer. So that's the one that you could learn when you had to. All the funny things that you do as a pilot, you flew on your back, and you were told to make 2 loops, then come down at first, get on your back, push up. You were told what you had to do. It was great.
You loved it.
Huh.
Let me ask you this. What did your mother and father think about that?
Oh, they thought that I was crazy.
Did they?
Well, my mother, there was a war going on already. The Hungarian army was already in Russia, fighting Russians, and they were dying, and in an airplane, to be in an airplane, of course you're going to fall. My mother was, well, like all mothers. And
your father?
My father had nothing against flying, but he was against volunteering and putting your neck out thing, because, we lost a lot of people. Even if you only got a bullet in your shoulder or something, probably you died because nobody could do anything about it. That was the danger.
Now, where did you train in flying?
Oh, many towns, several, wherever the accommodation was good for schooling. You spend 5-6 hours every day in a classroom. Okay, so by the time 2 years went by, we knew basically almost everything.
At the end of 2 years, did you get your wings, so to speak?
Yeah.
And where was that given to you?
Westbrem. Westbrem was when you got your wings.
What plane was you flying then by that time?
Oh, by that time I flew several. 4 or 5 of them. But no measurement.
No measurements. No measurements.
No. After you got your lieutenant wings, then you were sent to Messerschmitt school.
And where was that?
Partially in Hungary and partially in Germany.
Where in an airfield there in what?
It was an airfield where they manufactured 109s, and they were set up for training, I think.
You lived in a barracks there,
Yeah,
and you had,
and that was an interesting thing because we were trained to fly, but the Germans probably, I don't know why, they thought that the best way to learn is get out there and fight. And that's what we did. And I don't know, the Germans did it to, I mean, if you have to lose a pilot, might as well be a Hungarian and not a German. Or, I mean, I never heard or read after that that somebody is in training to go out and do battle every day or every second day. But that was a real school. If you survived.
so you went in combat, you went in combat against the Russian planes. What Russian planes were?
Oh, the Russians were just like Italians. Every day they built a new kind of a plane. Mostly yaks. I think that was the best that what they had.
And you were flying,
Massive 109.
yeah, that's where you got the measurements?
You know,
109.
to fly the 109, it was fairly simple because there were no two-seaters. Mentally, you were ready with the knowledge you needed, and there was the plane.
Did you have a squadron that was Hungarian though?
All the time, yeah.
All of them?
All the time.
So the 101st
It was
squadron was?
this was not the 101st. You got into the 101st after you did all the schooling.
But when did you start flying combat missions?
Oh, I think 43. I mean, I was still
Yes.
at the academy.
Okay.
First year or so, we had a lot of technical stuff to learn. And just, same like driving a car. The more you know about it, the better driver you are, I think. So that's what we did. We had a few hangars for us. We took apart the machine gun, put it together, the machine gun, had the engine open. You took it apart partially and put it together overnight. You had to know the plane really.
What did you think of the ME-109?
What can I say? What would you have? I loved it. I loved anything that flew.
That was quite different than the training.
Oh, sure. Well, it was two different things. In training, you flew what the Germans call it circus. Okay, you were told what once you get up, where to go, where is your air group, and do this and this and this and this, and after that, maybe go 60 miles using your map to get whatever you want to get, come back. So it was constantly this thing. Once you get the 109, there was no kid stuff anymore. You know, you were told that you go up to 20,000 feet and look around, and usually you see some kind of a animal, some kind of a enemy planes coming by. And the last year of the academy, you were free to go and shoot down anybody that you identified as an enemy. And everybody was an enemy, except the Germans.
How many of those flights did you make? While you were still in training?
Oh, I shot down two.
Pardon me?
I shot down two planes.
You shot down 2 planes. What planes were they?
Well, one was Yak-9. I know, but I can't say. I don't know.
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
I never brought it up in my memory for 70
Do you
years.
remember much about either of those? What the circumstances were?
Oh, for the first one, yeah. The first one, I got real close to make sure that what the heck it is. And it was a Russian thing. And I went close to him, not very close, so I could look into the cockpit. And the guy looked at me, and even today, I don't know what the heck. Yeah. Okay, this is him. He just turned against me. Well, he wanted to commit suicide, killing me. Why doesn't he, try to get a few bullets in me? So, I pulled up, came down under him, and he was there. And after I done it, I got scared. My feet on a rudder, they were shaking like this. What have I done? Well, first time.
Did the pilot have a chance to bail out? do you
No, I got him
Yeah.
in a cockpit.
How many planes did you shoot down then? And this was before you actually graduated,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
still in training, because they sent you out as young
I-
trainers.
I shot down two.
You shot down. Now, did you go out, or were you alone, or did you have a wingman, a part of a squadron?
At school, always alone.
Always alone.
Yeah.
So when you saw this Russian plane, you were alone, and he was alone.
Well, he was not alone, but yes. I mean, there were at least 30, 40 planes all over my visual length, but far. So I could get them, but this was here. So,
Was your ME-109 a better plane than the Russian plane, do you think?
at that time, yeah. See, I found out later, but at that time I didn't know. The original 109F had a smaller motor, a DB, I don't know what. And because of the smaller motor, it was much more, it was easier to handle. So you could do almost everything with it. Of course, you didn't have the speed and many things. You couldn't hang it like the Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
You could hang it on a thing and keep going until you ran out of gas. That's a tremendous plane. Well, there was no Mustang at the time yet.
Yeah.
And that's what we had. We had the F. Very, very easy to maneuver. You can do. It was really, you had a feeling that you just thinking what you want to do in a plane did it.
Really?
It was, they said that the Spitfire was something like that. Well, I don't know, but I was told by English pilots that there is no other plane like the Spitfire because you can handle it. But the Spitfire also had a weak engine. So, and that's the reason I know now it was maneuverable so easy, because when a year later the big DB came out with 300 more horsepower, Well, first of all, you had extra weight. Second, you had the speed. The airplane, when you have a lot of speed, it just like going into a groove. Okay, you could let everything go, and you still go. And you want to move, I think it's like sliding, a big thing. So it was a surprise when you got into the 101 and got the fast stuff.
When did you get into the 101?
44 December, I think December. I was there in 44 December. 44 December, I was in Prague on the way to Gotha. But already I had
You were flying?
yeah, 4 of us.
And did you fly your aircraft?
It was not my aircraft, but it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to Gotha and
And is that where you joined the 101st?
not that simple.
Okay.
We get down in Prague to refuel and to eat and go to the toilet. Then we started up for Gotha, and we got into some very bad weather, so we couldn't get to the Gotha airfield, couldn't find it. It was snowing and whatever, so we got down on a field of mud. So we went, the Germans came out with guns, because we didn't call anyone, we didn't expect to get on a downfield. I forgot the name of the little town. And by next morning, the planes had been frozen into the mud. So we had to chop up the thing. And I was 21 years old. What the heck? Nothing to it. I slept with a family. The lady was home and her daughter. Her son was a pilot somewhere. Okay? And his room was called the Flieger room, the flyer's room. So that's where I slept. Yeah. And they were very, very short in food. Now, one thing we had always Hungarian food. So I had half a ham in my plane. Well, just in case,
Mm-hmm. Is that right?
And I gave it to them. And boy, I think if I would give them gold, they wouldn't be so happy. They didn't see meat for a while, I think. I was very much surprised.
Yes.
They cut little pieces like this and ate it and put that thing back in there. Anyway, we got to Gotha, and then we got German instructors how to fight with 109, because flying a plane or fighting is different. Same like boxing. You jump up around, it's good, but if you punch you have to punch somebody. And
Yes.
anyway, and we flew back, 16 of us. So people came from several local schools, like we were 4, some group was 2. We all came to Gotha, and we got an instructor. My instructor name was Willy Lang. Willy Lang. Never forgot him. He was such a nice guy.
Mm.
Well, he's there too.
Mm.
So
And that's where
he was the enemy, and I was going to get him.
Mm-hmm.
And just to make sure, in front of me, they always enabled the guns. Well, you know, you get carried away. And so,
But you learned a lot from him.
yes, that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
That school for about 4 weeks, that made me a fighter pilot. Before I just flew. Those, well, some instructors were good, some were not so good, but they all have become instructors because they did something like they had, like the aces in Germany, they had 300 kilos, 300, not 30, 300. Like Major Gallant, he had 340.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, well, of course, he was flying for 6 years, but even so. And then he got shut down.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Lost?
He got shut down in the European theater because to kill B-17 or 24 or something is a big darn thing. It's easy to get to and kill him, but they have 10 plus guns.
Yeah.
Now, you want to make a kill, then you fly right into all those guns, and then you get it. Now, if you don't do it, then you're never going to have a kill. Maybe you're going to get killed even so. When you have a flight of 50 or 100 of these 4-engine things, with all the double machine guns. Phew. I mean, that's, if you want to kill it, you know that you're going to get killed. I mean, it's not killed, but shut down. Now you may live, of course.
Did you fly against any of the American
Once, yeah.
Once. And what were you flying?
I shut him down, and he shut me down.
Both?
Yeah.
What kind of a plane was he flying?
24, B-24.
So was it,
Well, I found out later it was made by Ford. Well, you know, the contractors.
of course. And he shot you down as well.
Yeah,
How many times were you shot down?
7.
7 times.
Mm-hmm.
Does any one of them stand out in your mind?
No, you become so busy that you don't remember anything. You do it automatically. Well, I remember one. It was also a Russian bomber. Okay. He put a bullet someplace in my engine or my oil or whatever, I don't know. But I was smoking, and then the dark red flames keep coming to the thing. So and then the engine starts coughing and all that thing. But anyway, it was time to jump out because I was low enough to jump out, but if I waited another minute or two, it was going to be too low. So I opened the cockpit and opened my things, and what you call that, I call it cockpit.
Canopy.
Okay? Canopy. I couldn't open enough to have the top open. I mean, I would have had to go out on the side, but not with 500 miles an hour. You know, I was stuck in a goddamn thing. And under those circumstances, I was very strong. I don't know how I, pushed that thing a little bit enough, but all this was real fast. And maybe because I was scared or not, see, the Messerschmitts, they don't have a push button to get you fly out. You have to climb out and jump. And I want to remember my legs. Okay, it was shaking and I had no power in my legs to push myself up. I just had, maybe I was scared, but anyway. And then, okay. So I did the next best thing, turn the plane upside down so I can fall out. I had the speed. And it worked partially, except my left leg got caught into something. I don't know. and I get all the power I had, okay, to push myself out. And then my left leg, I found out when I get down my left leg, my left knee was all turned out. It was, I didn't feel any pain until I got down, none.
But your chute opened.
Yeah, if you call it, yeah. Well, I was already quite low. I don't know how low, but I was low because the angle of the chute and reaching the ground was about the same time.
Where were you over? What was the land underneath it?
Where?
The ground, yes. Were you over in Russia?
Oh,
Were
no,
you in
no.
Germany?
This was in Transylvania.
Oh, over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you landed and were picked up by whom?
I was picked up by a German, what would you call them? Well, anyway, they were Germans. And they put me in a jeep. And then I started to feel pain. But before that, I already banged my head in, so there's no problem. So I lived with that bad knee turnout for about 4 or 5 days until it took me back to Hungary. The doctor, he turned it back the right way in no time whatsoever. But he said, let somebody look at it. I didn't let somebody look at it. It was fine until we came to the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have a brand new American knee.
Now.
Well, a lot of things get smashed in. I could walk, I could do anything with small discomfort, but what did I know? So.
How many times were you shot down, did you say? How many times did you have
11.
shot down?
I was shot down 11 times.
11 times.
No, 7 times.
7.
I shot all those guys down, 11.
You shot 11 other ones down.
6 to 11.
And you went down 7.
Yeah.
Now, were you able to bail out of all of them, or did
No.
you have to crash land?
No. I crash landed 4 times.
Into enemy territory?
No. Apparently I was smart. It was Hungarian territory.
Wow.
That was toward the end of the war. It was in 45 already. 45. Non-Hungarian planes were all over the damn place. You had the feeling that you're not going to survive.
So
But-
how many combat missions in totally did you fly?
Take the ones, okay, I don't remember how many, I could never count it, that I took while schooling. You know, other things to do I didn't count. And after I was with the 101s, I had 14 times.
14 times.
14 times
Of what?
I went up.
14 or 40
14,
times you
yeah.
went?
Went up and tried to kill every Russian in the world.
Mhm.
I didn't do anything for February and March.
45?
Yeah. We were constantly moving, doing other things, and we had to get the trains and the trucks and all those things, stop them before they hit the Hungarian lines.
Now, was that
By that
45
time.
45 or 44?
45
Now, Germany surrendered to
in
the
May.
Allies
In May.
in May of 45.
Yeah.
But you were still fighting a war.
No, not after the Germans gave up.
No.
No.
Okay.
In April and I think a week or so in May, we were flying and hitting the trains and trucks and whatever else.
The Russians.
The Russian trains and stuff, yeah. I mean, they were already in Hungary.
The Russians had moved into Hungary?
Not moved. Yeah, and what kind of a expression.
Is that right?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Oh, I think,
Early on?
well, in the beginning, see, in February and March, I didn't do any, I don't know why. Well, anyway, I didn't fly. I have no idea. I don't remember. But I know that the Russians already have been through Transylvania.
Your combat missions then ended after 45 May.
Yes. 45 May, I landed in Austria, coming back from a mission. And I was told the war is over. That's it. It was well, you know, we had no communication like today. You just push the button and you read what's going on.
Were you aware that America, however, had entered the war and was flying their planes?
Well, I knew that Germany and the West
Yeah.
was at peace. Okay. It was 11th, May the 11th. 11th, yeah.
What happened to the 101st then? Did it disband?
Well, no. Chapes was our chief, okay? And he said something like, let's go west and give up to the Americans, not to the Russians. I mean, it was natural. So whatever you could, some took planes, some took trucks, some motorcycles, but something that you can go fast enough. Because Russians, because nobody wanted to be a POW in Russia, even though some people have been caught.
Mm-hmm. And what did you do?
Oh, I was with my group. Well, first of all, I threw a hand grenade in my plane after I was told that the thing is over. So I had 2 hand grenades in my plane all the time.
Is that what they recommend?
No. No, but some who jumped out or fell or landed in Russia,
Sure.
they thought would have been better off to sit on a hand grenade than being interrogated and all that. That's the reason I had it, but I tossed it in a cockpit and the son of a bitch didn't do much damage.
It didn't? It did not?
Well, nobody could fly it after that, but I thought it was going to go up like
Sure.
it went up with me when I was in it once.
Sure.
And I think it's a perfectly good hand grenade. It went off, but a little smoke and the canopy got busted.
When were you discharged from the military?
I don't think I was.
You never were.
I don't think so.
So what did you do when you...
Well, this was in let's see what, yeah, okay. So our big chief, Shepard, okay, he was also in Austria. He flew one of the 109s there, and he was trying to get us together, whom he could. So we were all together, maybe 20, 30, I don't remember. And we got into two small Opel trucks, almost just standing alongside each other. And he knew what he was doing. He went toward Passau. We were close to Passau.
Yes.
Then went south to Poking. Poking was an airfield the Germans used. But at this time, I mean, I found out when we get there were female flight helpers or whatever, and they were just let loose. Okay, they all going home. And we were coming in with the trucks. At least there was a lot of place to get in, get washed up, and go to the toilet. So it was a...
Sure.
And overnight, the American soldiers came in, and some of the P-4s landed. It was an airfield there. So we left each other alone. Nobody asked any questions. We found the kitchen, found some dry peas, yellow peas, dry by the sackful. It was such a crazy thing, and just like if you would have been on the moon. Okay, you didn't know what was going on. Every morning, Shepard wanted us to get together, see how many we are. Somehow he got in touch with other groups to come here. So we were, by the time things got organized, we have been there about 50, 60 hours.
Is that right?
Or pilots, and in a very bad shape. I went to bed crying so many times. And I, found out that this guy is not here, the guy's not here. Yeah, sure, he was shut down. You find those things out. It was a very unorganized thing.
Were you able to turn yourself over to the Americans then?
Well, I think Shepard did it. I think he went to the American soldier. He was a lieutenant from L.A. Yeah.
Mm.
Black hair, black eyes. He was a teacher and private. Anyway, So he went to him. He was the senior American soldier and did whatever they do. And we had perfect freedom. You could go where you want to. He was not prepared to do with us anything. So then, in fact, there have been some married pilots and mechanics, and they were anxious to know what happened to the family. And he helped a lot. He found out that there are little Hungarian groups, and so that he gave you a jeep and a guy in uniform, then you could go anywhere. Many people found their wives.
Did you go home to your family?
Not anymore.
Didn't see your sister?
Oh, not at a time. I saw her after we were in the United States.
I think.
You brought her out.
Nice.
She didn't want to stay. But my parents I never saw again.
Where did you go then? Where did you choose to go? Since you were given a free rein, where did you go from down there near Paso and at this airfield?
Well, I got caught by my wife. She was the niece of a pilot, and they found each other. So we had already at least half of the people in the airfield women, mostly wives, sisters, that kind of stuff. Maybe 100, I don't know. And I was going into a barrack to see the chief for some reason, I don't remember. And I was going in, and this girl was coming out. And the door is like that, so for two people to go to it. So we met in the door.
And that was when you met her?
Yeah.
And what was her name?
Marta. Oh, I didn't know her.
Does she have a last name?
Yeah.
What was her maiden name?
Csolány.
And she was from?
She was from, well, Hungary.
Hungary too.
But she lived in,
So did you talk with her then?
No, I pulled in my belly button and she pulled in hers, and then her uncle, I think he was a first lieutenant or anyway, he got together the people on and off. You were not a PW. You were nothing. And he organized everything. He organized an office staff. He organized the cooks to cook the darn pea. He even organized to have a theater group. I don't remember what they played, but I know it. And okay, I was a lieutenant, and most people in my barrack were mechanics, sergeants, nothing. Okay, so I was in charge of the thing. So Marta's uncle comes to me, and he said that he needs a wall separation, because we find out at the time that all the walls were removable. It was a barrack, and a few screws put in a wall this way or that way, and you made a bigger room, I don't know. So her dear niece, that he became responsible for, and her girlfriend, who was the wife of somebody, okay, would like to have some privacy. They were there, but, you know.
Sure.
So I got two guys who were under my command. They were barbers in private.
They were what?
Barbers in private. It almost made me laugh when I found out who was who. Anyway, they took out one of the walls and carried it wherever these two broads were living and put it in. And then maybe a few days, a week later, he got people together playing music or something, because I think he did it all right, because people were very down in the dumps, not knowing what was going on.
Right.
No radio, no nothing. Okay. So I went there, a young blade, and this little girl was there too, with her uncle, and some of the guys played music. So we met and we danced. And then we lived there for a while. And when everything got organized, you had to have a pass to go here, to go there. And when the army took over, really. So we met with this little girl quite a few times.
You fell head over heels,
Yeah.
as they say?
Yeah. And she knew that, I didn't. Yeah. But then,
And when did you?
then the uncle, his name is Ferry, or maybe Frank or something. Anyway, you know, he came to me, he said, George, you see my niece quite often, Josh? And he says, I think I am responsible for her. What am I going to say to her mother if you go back to Hungary? Well, he said that it doesn't look good. The camp is talking about the two of you. You see, I never had much to do with girls, because I always go from one school to the other. Okay? Everything was accelerated.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I don't know, I don't remember what happened. Anyway, I found a Hungarian priest in a camp. Okay? Well, actually, I found a Jewish rabbi, and I told him that what I need a Hungarian priest. So he knew where the Hungarian priest is. And I told her, let's get married. We meet anyway, people talking anyway. I don't know anybody from your family. Yeah, she was half orphan. Her father was killed during the war when she was 16. He was on a Russian front. And but her mother was okay. She was a stuffed lady. So we got together one morning and got married. And then, if the Catholics get married anywhere in the world, if it is just like this, a priest and a fresh air, then they have ways to send the information to Rome and enter the marriage into the golden book. Mm-hmm. So he did that. Okay. And he said that, he communicated the information to Rome. He doesn't know if he got there. So it would be the best thing, go to town, find the nearest town, find a Catholic priest, and do it again, just to make sure it's entered. So that was a cold January morning. Everything is frozen stiff. I only had my flight jacket, cold, no hat. And well, she had a cold. Well, let's go. I don't know how we knew which town to go to, but we started out. It was cold. When I was dragging her by hand, she was dragging me by hand. But finally we went there, found the church, found the priest, and at that time I talked some German, but she knew pretty well German. Even now she knows some more. And we told the priest, now what happened? We want to get married. And it's a piece of paper. That's the Hungarian priest said, come here and get married. And duplication or something doesn't make any difference. Okay, let's go in an official room. And he got married again.
Were there any witnesses?
Yeah. No, not in this one, but the first one. Yeah.
Who did you have?
Two. It was one of my buddies who was my right hand, what you call it?
Wingman?
Wingman.
Mm-hmm.
And he was crying.
He was what?
He was crying. He was crying that, what's happening to you? Why you get married?
What was his name?
Kovács Gábor. He died here in Greeley.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a chance to meet and talk with him
Yeah,
while you were here? Is that right?
yeah.
Nice.
Well, we were, went all over the world. A lot of people went to Australia.
Yeah.
See, you couldn't go home. Later on, when you asked me if I went to Hungary, yes, I did. Later, when the American occupation was solidified, and the Russians and everything, so people, mostly civilians, they were going back to Hungary. But whatever happened, the German train and locomotive and all that thing, the Russians got the people out and they took the train and locomotive. Goodbye. You never return it. So the American occupying forces, they were stuck. Pretty soon they had no trains left. So they put I don't know how you call the group, about 50 soldiers, American soldiers, in the front and the rear of the train to make sure that the locomotive at least is coming back. Yeah. And then people already who were there, they were waiting for a train and told them, don't come back. If you were a successful soldier, they're going to shoot you.
Did you have any kind of a honeymoon or a little time together after you got married?
Yeah. I rented what you call a boxcar from the railroad. I rented a boxcar, and I made an agreement with whoever, the German railroad, that they can take me anywhere. I had a certain amount of marks. I exchanged back here, for this money, just take me anywhere with the train, and then when we are at the end, then we go together. That was the honeymoon. So I took a set of army cots, and I don't know, I took it or bought it or stole it anyway. The big German raincoat. The German soldiers had a
Cape and
had a big raincoat that was keeping the rain out.
Mhm.
Okay. The Hungarian soldiers never even had that. And we put the two beds together, and the top one we covered with a raincoat because everything was shut through holes. I mean, the top was full of holes to the side. I mean, it came from the war area, and by luck, it was raining. And the rain came through. I think any place we went, it was raining. So we made a tent inside. And I don't know where I got it from, but I got some cans of food. So we had some food.
And you were hooked up to the train?
Yeah. And luckily the train was going in the Alps, down south in Bavaria. Oh, the beautiful view. We were sitting in an open door. The door was open not because we wanted to see, because it couldn't be closed. Yeah, and we looked at the scenery going through, and your heart broke that you have no home, you have no identification. And dumb jackass, you just got married. But we were happy. I don't know for how many days we traveled, but any time a thing stopped someplace, I jumped off and found out if there are any Hungarians here, if there are any groups of Hungarians going back to Hungary, okay, and that way. Anyway, now that I'm rushing it, I don't remember the name. There was a town that we're told that Romanians are there. And I mean, we had to, you couldn't get a job. I couldn't get out in a town and get a job. You had to belong to some damn thing.
So you left the boxcar?
I didn't. I just get out to ask all the time, at least 10 places. And this was the first place that they had some Transylvanians. Oh, there they are. I am from Transylvania. And then we got out, and while we walked to the Kaserne or whatever, the train went away. And we still had some paid up time. And it turned out that this was a Romanian group. Because without knowing, in the meantime, Transylvania became Romanian again. But at that time I still spoke Romanian, and went alongside the boxcars. That's where they lived, and they have a place. And there were two girls in one boxcar that just came in a long way from France. Mm-hmm. They went to the Sorbonne college, and they want to go home. Said, oh yeah, just come in. So
what year was that you got married? What year?
46, I think. 46 January.
So you've been married how many years now?
67.
How wonderful.
They have been some good years. Yes. They were not crazy like this.
I think what we better do is give you a rest a while, and we'll call it quits for now, and we'll get back to you, George, or Lieutenant, and I appreciate hearing all about this, and we'll continue it a little bit later. Okay, we're back again live with Lieutenant Graffy, and we left him living in the boxcar somewhere in southern Bavaria a newlywed with his beautiful wife Martha, and where
You
did
should go on politics.
Where did you go from there? How did what went on?
Well, those two Romanian girls, I think college girls, they were very nice. They helped us to climb up in that boxcar of the Romanian train that was taking all those people back to Romania. I had no choice. I could go with them because actually at the moment I was a Romanian citizen again. And there we went, and I did the same thing, inquiring where are Hungarian people. And we stopped at Piring. Piring is a very small town, also in Bavaria, and they had a Hungarian camp there. Families were there. In Poking, the soldiers were waiting to meet their wives, and here there were wives and kids waiting to meet their husbands if they're still alive. So the train stopped, I presume, for a war or something, and I decided with my wife, let's stop here. I don't want to go back to Romania. I was enough in Romania. So we jumped off, took our beds down there, and in the snow, carrying the beds, we walked into town. Well, we were in early 20s.
Sure.
So they gave us a spot in a barrack, and they gave us a blanket as a separation because on the other side, a lieutenant and his wife was living. And we lived here in Piring for, 2 years. In the meantime, Christmas came. This is already a year since we got there. And we wanted to get some wood in the barracks for December, and it's cold. We have a stove, no wood. So I don't know where I got a saw from. And as soon as it got dark, we went out with my wife and chopped off a tree. And chopped it up in pieces. And then we had fire for Christmas. Not much of a fire because a freshly cut tree and doesn't burn very well. Okay.
Where did you go after that?
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah. Okay. After that, I decided that I have to start being a civilian somehow, and somehow I got in touch with our squadron commander. He was in a French zone, and he was looking for soccer players so he can have a soccer group and play with the French occupation area people and start life again. So that's what we did. We got on a train and went to the French occupied area, and the town we landed in was Singen.
In French occupied
French occupied.
Germany?
Yeah, it's still in Bavaria.
In Bavaria.
Yeah. Very nice little town, and the French occupied people, because I became a French soccer player, okay, they got us a room in a house, so my wife and I could go there, and my dear wife was very pregnant. The old lady was very nice, and her daughter also lost her husband during the war, and me being a French-related somebody, I was able to supply them with wood. I got some French people and German PWs, and we loaded up the front lawn with wood because they had nothing to heat the house with. So we were great friends until time came for my wife to give birth to our first child. And the old lady, her name is Mrs. Fuhrer. Okay, she got a taxi that ran on wood smoke. And I took my wife to the hospital. And of course I went with her, and she gave birth to Katalin, our first daughter. And everything was well. You know, my wife was in good shape, Katalin was in good shape, and we lived with the Fuhrers who maybe for the rest of the year, when I was shining with my soccer knowledge.
What kind of a team was that? Did you play other towns?
Other French groups,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we became French soldiers, so to speak. We were not, but we were, I don't know. He got together about 15 Hungarian soccer players. They got the French uniform and played soccer. That was a way of living.
How many games a week would you play?
Maybe one. Communication.
But it did give you a living.
Yeah, I got a room. I got one dinner a day that I could take home to my wife, and I ate some. And in the meantime, read the paper, find out what the heck is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, while we were there, my mother-in-law in Hungary got in touch with my wife's great uncle who lived in New York. And at that time was a possibility that if you have a relative in the United States, you could go in there if everything is fine. So that's what we did. We wrote the uncle, and he was happy to take us to the United States. And then we had to move to a place in Bremerhaven where they tried to put together a ship, you know, people to go on a ship.
Let me ask you, Lieutenant, what did you know about the United States?
The honest answer would be nothing.
Why did you pick the United States?
Well, I read about United States and Uruguay, and I actually was thinking of going to Venezuela because I couldn't go to Romania. I would have been shot right there because I killed a perfectly good Romanian pilot. And I didn't want to go back to Hungary because I already knew that they are not much better now than the Romanians, except they speak Hungarian. So we had to go somewhere. And
That was occupied Russian territory then,
still.
correct?
Yeah.
At that time.
Mm-hmm. And well, anyway, I mean, the papers were right. We have been checked out by immigration people and told us to learn English as fast as possible because if you don't speak the language. So that's what I did in an immigration camp. Tried to learn
Was Marta there with
some
you?
English, yeah. Oh yeah.
She took it as well.
And we had a baby.
She had a baby, yeah.
Okay, so when we were enough to fill up the name of the boat was General Muir. How can I remember that? And I don't know the town.
Was it a military?
It was a military transport ship, but now they use it for anybody.
You left from Bremerhaven
Yeah,
and landed where?
landed in New York.
What did you think when you saw the Statue of Liberty in the harbor?
Well, I learned how the Statue of Liberty was designed in France, and I learned about the inside framing, but I mean, this is what I learned about it. It didn't mean anything like from social point of view what it is. Besides, we went by at night. And well, anyway, all my life was conscious of money. I knew that you have to get it to make a living anyway. And on a boat, this kind of people like me, they did some work because they didn't want to have 50 or 100 American people doing the work when you have 100 immigrants or what, that's just only scratching. But the thing was, if you do useful work, the passage is free.
Sure.
Okay, so I became a kitchen guy. I was doing the dishwashing for 11 days. You know, those big tubs.
On board ship.
Yeah, and being a pilot, I was ashamed that the boat did not agree with me. I was up, throwing up, down, up and down for 11 days. And I was actually ashamed. So we arrived in New York, and as usual, we couldn't get in touch with the uncle. And look at that, I know the name. We have been placed in Ellis Island. Just came to me. In Ellis Island, we had preferred treatment because we had a little baby. So my wife, at least, she got a nice bed and all with the baby and food and all. And I was individually taken care of in the kitchen.
What year was it then that you came?
Oh, 49.
1949.
And we came after a hurricane. I didn't know what a hurricane was. So the last few 20 foot waves, they made me. A few times I went head first right in the dish. Well, I didn't know what it was, and I have to say again, I was ashamed. A pilot next to me, another dishwasher, okay, he was an insurance salesman in Hungary. He had no problem. None. So put it together.
The pilot had the problem.
Yeah. So anyway, in a few days, we got in touch with the uncle, and we had his address, and he said, just get a taxi and come on out. So that's what we did.
And you went to where?
To his house. And of course I had no money, and I told the guy that the uncle going to pay. I didn't know that this taxi driver is going to charge so much more than it should. So we arrived in front of the house with the baby, and I think the taxi driver went up or they came down, I don't remember. Anyway, he got paid. And then later on, Uncle told me that, you have been taken. I'm going to get a job and pay you back. I'm sorry. I didn't know that. Boy, oh boy, it must have been quite a sum.
Sure.
But even if I would have known it, I wouldn't know the exchange rate or anything like it, because a dollar or a penge or you know, if he would have told me, I would have translated it in German mark. It would have been peanuts. But anyway, so we lived with them a few days, because I told him that I want to work anything whatsoever, don't make a difference. But I want to work, and he agreed with me. Anyway, he had a summer home in Connecticut. And he said that, the translation problem. I had a degree in economics in Hungary. Now, Hungary at the time was a sociable country. It was not a free capitalistic state. And the economy that exists is very different from the economy of a free country like the United States. So even the name economy, somehow the two of us translated, that means agriculture. I don't know. I thought so, or he thought so. Two smart ones. He was too old. He was in his 80s, I think, to worry about those things. I was too dumb. And between the two of us, they came up with, I was a specialist in agriculture. So he says, okay, in Kent, Connecticut, there is a house he's using it only for summertime, but he knows a big farm that I could get a job. I told him, that's perfect. Really, I have seen my aunts milking cows, just put the damn thing in, the milk comes out. Now, what's the fuss? So we went out, moved into his summer home, and he took me to the farm. And the farmer asked me in English, and I answered in I don't know what language, that just bring the cows here. It's a specialist me. I was sure I'm going to pull those things to it, and the milk is going to come out. Oh, the next morning, this was the dairy farm of a private school. He had 120 cows, milking cows, plus 40, 50 were not milking stage yet. Okay. So next morning, the dairyman who knew everything knocks on the door, let's go. It just so happened that we lived opposite his house. So he took me to the barn, and he says, these are the milking machines. You know how to use it? No, you show me. And well, that was a disaster. I mean, mentally I saw the suction. Yeah, you put it down, and I knew all that, but the cow didn't know, because it kicked me out of there like something. Okay, and I was never that close to a cow, and I didn't know that if you push in the nerve on the side beside the rear leg, then he gets immobilized. He cannot kick with that leg. All right, comes Bob was the name of the guy. He knew that I am a fake. He laughed. And then he gets there, puts his head where we're supposed to be. The cow is just standing there enjoying it. So you do it now. Yeah, well, I do it now, but I didn't put my head close to the cow. I was like this. Poof! I was going. But then he felt sorry for me. And I think that he showed to me. He says, I do the milk machine, you do the stripping. What is stripping? Well, then I find out that the milk machine takes out only 99% of milk. But you have to go after and strip everything out, because what's left in there, so much less milk is going to be created for next day. So you have to strip it absolutely clean. So I got the little chair, okay, with 2 legs. So you had enough trouble, now you had to even balance yourself on that darn thing. Stripping, huh? I don't know what you're talking about. So he reached in there and pulled, and that's what I want to do. I reached in there and nothing came out. I was pulling, I think the poor cow was uncomfortable. But see, I didn't know that you actually milk it with your fingers. I just thought you grab it and pull it out. That day, I don't know if the end of that milking period I learned something or not, but next morning I couldn't move my fingers. I was thinking that the next morning when I got up, I couldn't put my pants on. I couldn't grab the material to pull it out. Of course, I didn't tell anybody anything. I'm a man. And that became one of my most liked jobs. The cows learn who you are. You know how to immobilize them. A few things you have to know, which way to twist the tail and those things. Okay. But Bob, he was an ex-Marine sergeant and an Irishman. He had his fun with me the first day, but then after that, he was the biggest help I ever had, really. It was a great guy. He made a farmer out of me in no time.
How long did you do that?
A year. Well, I did get $80 a month. That was cash. No, he was getting 120, dairyman. That's the way it was. 1949.
Yes.
Okay, and I didn't feel that I was taken care of. I got paid what the job was for, and Bob. Okay. Then we just couldn't make a living on his money. Not even me, coming from Europe. It was just not enough at all. I was a pipe smoker at the time, and I couldn't afford an $11 pack of velvet. Couldn't afford it. We had 9 cents. You couldn't get the other 2 cents, so I temporarily quit smoking. But we didn't starve, because every day we had a carrying thing with 3 dishes together. So I put it in the morning, I gave it down in the kitchen of a school. And when we went home for dinner, then it was loaded, so my family could eat great food and all that stuff. But just, we couldn't buy shoes, couldn't buy anything, and I had nothing.
Did you go to school?
Where?
Someplace?
Later on, yeah. Oh, in Europe I did.
No, I mean here.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, I went to the boss man and I told him that I can't live on this money. I don't mind fixing fences. That was another big job after the milking is done, but it's just not enough. Well, he said he can't give me a raise because I just came a year ago and I didn't know anything, and they told me and said, I'm sorry, but then I have to quit because I can't. Okay. So that's what I did. I read the papers all the time, and I found out that there is a steel mill being built in Pennsylvania, in Morrisville, and they pay this wages and all that thing, and they need people right now and all that. So I told the boss that I'm going to go there because. So he dug into his pocket, and he gave me some money for gas, which is very good. And he said, well, if it doesn't work out, come back. But so I took off. In the meantime,
Alone or with the family?
alone. The family had the summer home of the uncle. And I think I could have left him some money for my. Anyway, I go down to Morrisville and stand in line for 100 people to go in and get a job because that was the building stage, digging ditches and whatever else. Well, who cares? And I didn't get a job. Then I only took a sandwich with me from Connecticut to Pennsylvania. I said, let's find some job. And I walked into Morrisville, and they were building, well, I think Morrisville was being built up with new houses, and the foundation was thick and shovel work. In 49, you do it by hand. And I go to the guy who had the hat on, and I told him, there is your pick and shovel guy you always wanted. Do you have a job? Yes. Hey, son of a bitch, Negro, whatever, he just quit on me. Well, I was in good shape. At 24 years old, 26. I was digging that thing, some way out, and apparently I was doing very well because he made sure that next morning I'm going to be back. I told you, I'm going to be back. And I was back for a few days until I met one of my old buddies. He was already living in Trenton, New Jersey, single guy. I told him what I do, and said, well, you come here and sleep in my room. So I had place to sleep. I made a few bucks to eat, and some more left over to send it to my wife. Great. But he was working in a Roebling steel mill. He said, they always have opportunities. Well, let's go there tomorrow. So I went there tomorrow, and I was hired in a yard gang. That's the beginning job, and you don't know anything, but you do a lot of things. So I got a job there in a yard gang, and then later on I became a machine operator, and then steel rope twister with a machine. And, every time was an opening that paid a penny more, I bid for it.
Sure.
If somebody had more seniority, well, he got it. But apparently I got some good jobs and always got more and more pay. So it was time to go and get the family. So on one weekend, my buddy and I, we rented a truck went to Connecticut, and by that time we owned a refrigerator and a washing machine. Okay,
That's pretty good.
so we loaded it up in a truck and drove back. No license, no nothing. And but the next day, I got my wife and a kid back, and before we rented a second story, 2 rooms. So everything was fine, was paid for. And I needed some money until the next payday. I went to the bank, Trenton Trust Company. And I knew that you don't go to the bank and say, hey, give me $50. So I tried it anyway. And, you know, they found out, I told them that we are green, we just came to the United States, and I have a great job with rope rings, and no problem for me repaid, but right now, okay, we have to prepay the rent. And there was a lady, you know, he says, you know, you sound like my father. Sure, that means nothing to me. And she gave me the loan of $100, which I asked for, because it looked like it takes care of the whole thing. And I worked in all kind of positions in rope links for 21 years.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I never have been kicked out of a job because I didn't speak. Well, if it was not needed, I didn't speak. Or I was Hungarian, but I learned how a free country works. I found out about insurance. Like in Hungary, there was no such thing. It was like whatever the president wants here, okay? The country pays for your this, for your that, and they deducted from your pay. Anyway, the insurance man was the biggest help at the time. He said, you dum-dum, you are driving, you have no license. You do this, you have to have this and this and this, and you're not even a citizen. I had, I think, a green card or something. So he took us for citizenship exam. At that time, you had an English exam. So he went there and passed that one, and went home.
Both of you?
Yeah.
And didn't you have another child
Not yet.
somewhere in those 20 years?
When we lived already in Trenton.
Oh, so you moved to
Oh,
Trenton.
2 years later, after I brought them back from Connecticut, maybe another year, we had a second child. And
his name?
Aniko. First one was Kathleen, second Aniko, and shortly after that was the third one, Sue. She lives here
She lives in Colorado?
in Denver.
In Denver.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was doing always a little bit better. And now, it was a union job. And, you know, you couldn't get any advancement regardless of how well you did, because the union seniority thing killed everything. Okay. Well, I was young and capable. I could do anything, basically. I had the confidence that I can do anything. And just couldn't get any advancement anywhere. I was stuck in yard gang. I was good in yard gang, of course. Young. I find out that my economics degree is 0. Yeah, and then to make extra dollars, I got a job in a what did you call the movie? Outside movie?
The outdoor show? Or
Outdoor movie thing, to be the short order cook. So I was doing that at night and was doing the thing at daytime. And now I thought it would be a nice thing to buy that little place in a movie and just make hamburgers and whatever. You couldn't do it because he was not going to sell. I mean, that's a good little thing.
Sure.
Okay. But then I called myself a short order cook. Again, now I started to look for a short order cook job, full time. And I got the address, I think, from the paper. So I go to the, what do you call the company that selling jobs?
Advertising?
Anyway, I go there, and there's a nice little girl. You want to know what I did, what I can do, and all that thing. I said, "You are capable. Why don't you get yourself a degree here?" What do you mean, get a degree here? I have to work. I said, you can go to night school. There is night school here, Yeah? I never forget her. Said, you know what? I go with you. She came with me to Rider University in Trenton. We went in there. There was the dean, and she told my story. And sure, he speaks good enough English to understand most of it. And I asked him what would be good, because I like science. I love what you call it, chemistry. Well, he called up somebody who was selling this homeschooling. So I was doing the homework like crazy for about a year.
Good.
And then I found out that in Philadelphia got some chemical. Now, that big place, I don't remember the name. Anyway, I wrote to them what I know. I wrote to them that all these things were my exams and homeschooling, and I am a big chemist and I would like to get a job. I said, this kind of a degree means nothing. You have to get it from a college or something. And it got me pissed off, first time. So I went back to the dean and said, look, this is the problem. I can't wait all my life. He says, why don't you do something else that is in demand? I said, what is it? He says, accounting. Don't you want to be an accountant? I said, why not? So he enrolled me in school in accounting degree. So I was taking the accounting courses for 3 years, and I got an AA in accounting.
Good.
In the meantime, my teachers at school got me always a part-time job to do auditing in a bank or this and that. because I was capable to do it because I just learned it. And then, yeah, this was a associate degree.
Agreed, yes.
Yeah. And then one of my teachers said, why don't you go for a BS? Because then you can become a CPA or something and you are on top of the thing. So that's what I did.
What school was that?
Still Ryder University. And well, as I found out later on, that's a top school in accounting and math and that.
And you took two more years there?
Yeah.
And you
So altogether 6 years.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But you got your BS in accounting.
Yes.
And did you take any further courses or tests?
Well, not college courses, seminars and all
I see.
that I needed. But anyway, a friend, a cousin, about the age difference. He was 16 and I was 25. Talked to him, he says, I just saw in a paper an advertisement from Princeton University. They want an accounting clerk. So I went to Princeton. I got a job.
That was Princeton, did you say?
Yeah, university. And I got an accounting clerk job. And I worked there only about a year when they decided to automate with computer help, whatever they had, because of everything, paper and pen.
Mm.
I didn't know, of course, what they decided.
Where was the family living then?
Pardon me?
Where was the family living then?
In Trenton, New Jersey. He rented a place.
Where?
Trenton, New Jersey.
Trenton, still in Trenton?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I got a job. The controller, Mr. Young, oh, what a man. We talked for a while, and he hired me. And one day, some guys with good suits and hats showed up. It turned out they were the examination group from IBM. They mean nothing to me. So basically they came, Mr. Young didn't want to hire from outside computer people. He wanted to take out from within. So everybody was taking some kind of a exam for the guys, and I won. And Mr. Young said, well, George, you are it. I am what? Well, you're going to go to school and you're going to change our accounting system to computer.
Good.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I went to school with IBM and came back and
How long was that school?
it was not that kind of a school. I was still working full time.
I see.
And
Just
you went a
from that
few hours at night, full time weekends. They accommodated the thing to the type of people I was.
Sure.
You can't stop work completely. Yeah. So I already took BS in accounting.
That's right.
And I learned pretty fast the local accounting rules. And then started the IBM cards, punch cards, learned how to do it, all kind of.
How long did you do that?
Well, I did it for a while until I learned enough to become a programmer, a systems analyst.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, systems analysis was a very interesting thing. Like, come the dean of the, well, first of all, I computerized Mr. Young's place. I mean, that was it. Start of this payroll.
Great.
Well, it had to be right because people were getting paychecks.
Right.
It has to be right. Well, that went okay. I got a nice girl from IBM, the two of us. I took the course and he knew everything. And we were about halfway through. She gave birth to a baby and she quit.
Oh.
So then I was by myself. But that's okay. The chemistry department dean, he wanted to computerize the chemistry department, and we went to the accounts payable, accounts, you know, one at a time. And then worked out some schemes so that I don't want to have a new base for everything. Why don't we have only one base and just hang the stuff on, you know? Same thing with students. Once a student is admitted, that student stays with the same name forever. He goes to school, he gets grades, he flunks out, his donation, he's paying his loan. I mean, everything is hanging on a student name. So that was a kind of advanced way to do it. Instead of having million,
Sure.
thing was the only one.
Good.
And, yeah, and then
Did you work for anyone else?
after I started, no.
You stayed with them
I retired after 25 years.
from
Princeton.
Princeton?
Yep.
Mhm.
I was there for 25 years.
And did you live in Trenton the whole time?
No, we bought a house in Levittown.
Okay.
Levittown started to build Levittown in 53.
That was a great career for you then, that you
Yeah,
picked up right from the start.
yeah,
didn't you?
and nobody was doing anything untoward toward me.
Yeah.
I was free as a bird. If I could do it, do it. You know, I never.
The free enterprise.
Yes. I never thought that. I mean, you have that kind of freedom in life.
Great story.
Well, of course, I had a great wife.
Sure.
That was
We all know that's.
in the beginning. We bought for the kids used shoes from the jeweler on the corner and all that thing. Yeah, but
Sure.
so we never had to do
What
anything.
year did you
Retire? Pardon me?
retire? What year did you?
87.
87.
A long time ago.
And what did you decide, where did you decide to do afterwards?
Well, I didn't because see, by that time we had 6 kids, and again, in a way, money was more important because I was not poor enough and not black enough to be able to send my kids free. College is expensive.
Surely. You
Okay.
had 6 children.
Yeah,
And
they all went to college.
they all went to college.
Yeah.
Where did they go?
Well, see, the number one,
What was his or her name? Who was the oldest?
Kathleen.
And
Kathleen, he got her BA at Ryder College because I was an alumnus, and I was very thankful to that school because getting me always these part-time jobs. Okay, that was the biggest help.
Who was the second child then?
Second child was Aniko. She became an RN.
Oh, did she?
The third one, Sue, she also became an RN. And then came Marcie. She got a PhD in pharmacology.
Is that right? Good.
And then came Joki. She has a PhD in government, whatever. She's a federal government girl.
And she lives here?
No, she's in medicine. She lives in medicine. She's number 5.
Okay.
And my son, he got his degree from the University of Pennsylvania. He wanted to get the best business school there is, and he got it.
Is this George the Third?
Yeah, and then no, I am proud of this. He was, when they were taking the CPA exams by the state of Pennsylvania, that year she was the first, number 1.
Really? Number 1?
Yeah, number 1 CPA for that year. And then he's in business now. He was working here and there, you know, accounting, banking, those things. And then he met a guy who has an impossible business, and they are partners now.
And the next one? The next child?
No more.
That was it.
That was 6.
How many grandchildren do you have?
15.
15. I won't ask you to name them all.
Well, I could take it up slowly, but not like this.
15 grandchildren. How about great-grandchildren?
5.
5 great-grandchildren.
5 plus
5 plus.
2 pregnancies waiting.
2 are coming up. How sweet
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
Do you get to see your children very often?
They get to see me
They come to
because
see you here.
because until I didn't mind traveling, just my wife and I, and home we always left someone college age or whatever so they could take care of themselves. But I am not traveling anymore.
Yeah.
So now they come.
What kind of recreation were you interested? Did you have, you and Martha? What
Well,
did you do for fun?
for Martha and I, sailing.
Sailing.
Yeah.
Did you have a boat?
Yeah.
Where? And tell me about it.
Well, when we lived in Florida, I had a place anywhere.
Did you move to Florida after you retired?
Yes.
That
You know,
one?
not immediately. I was trying to look at
Do you
things.
remember the town?
You asked me yesterday. We lived there only for 10 years, and I don't recall.
You stayed there for 10 years.
Yeah,
On
we
the
bought
East
a house.
Coast?
Bought a house there,
East Coast?
East Coast. Yeah, between. Well,
Between Orlando and Miami? Was it
yeah,
somewhere?
yeah. That's quite a
Was it?
quite a stretch.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Fort Lauderdale.
Well, Fort Lauderdale was south of us.
And did you
Stewart was closer.
Stewart, oh, I see, yes.
I could say Stewart, but it had a different name.
Did you enjoy the balmy Florida climate?
Well, I'll tell you, I had to live in so many places with so many climates that everything is fine.
Anywhere.
Anyway, right.
You're very adaptable.
Well, I am because my wife, she never complains. She never want to have a second car until we could afford it. She never want to move here. She understood that I have to go wherever the opportunity is. and she was holding down the fort. And she was the encyclopedia for the family when the kids went to school.
Really?
Yeah. Well, she's smart.
Sure.
You know, she went to school in a special school in Hungary that was created for orphans of military officers. It was the best.
I can talk with her.
It was the best school in the country, and she was the best student in school. She's smart.
And where would you sail?
Anywhere there was water, but well, in Florida, I had my boat down there, small sailboat, and East Coast. I just went out and made sure that I get back on time. But
You didn't get seasick anymore.
no,
You out.
isn't that something? But well, we lived in Levittown, you know, in Pennsylvania, and that area was not Levittown, but it's somewhat north, Allentown area. They created a lake. They filled up with water, an area with houses, farms, everything. It was Nökkamingset, Lake Nökkamingset. Now that was the best for Martha and I. Because, like later on, that you know, I was in charge of my department. I could go home as long as things were orderly and done. I could go home, make dinner. So she came home from college because she started college again. She was in college when the Russians started to come through, and her mother told her, "Go, get out of here." So I think she had 1 or 2 years in college, and then we decided that it's a shame not to let her, you know, enjoy her brain and knowledge. She wants to know everything all the time. She's okay. And when when the last one of the children, George, entered college, we decided that she is going to go to college and finish up. So she went to Trenton State and got herself a BA.
Great.
And then she went to get a job as the Social Security Office in Pennsylvania. She was there for 12 years and then retired. So we tried to retire, both of us, as soon as was possible, to spend some time together. Because regardless how much I loved her, I never saw her. I was either working or going to school or whatever. And she was busy with a brood.
So you made the best of your retirement days.
I think so.
Why did you come to Colorado? How did that happen?
Well, that's, first of all, I wanted to get away from Florida because every time I had something planned or something, a hurricane came. And at the beginning, I didn't know what a hurricane really was. But after the first one, that went through about 80 miles from us, so we were safe. We went down there to take people fresh water and those things and see the damage. And I was already retired. I was over 60. Now, I I didn't want to be in that predicament. You know, your house is, I mean, your only house is gone. Okay? You may get hurt, may not. You pay for a gallon of water, $10, and you have to buy it for somebody who is kind enough to give it to you only for $10. And then the insurance companies very seldom replace what you had. Okay. And as soon as you get on your feet, comes the next one. Okay.
Well, why Colorado?
Well, Colorado was, we have a daughter here, number 5. No, okay, number 3. When she got married, they moved here.
She has children?
Children. She's the super grandma. She has a grandchild in New York. She has a grandchild in Phoenix.
Really?
And she is not retiring because she's here and there, back and forth.
She travels.
Her husband retired,
Nice.
and he's mostly home.
Her husband?
Yeah, and they have a yellow Labrador. This is the 3rd one, I think. He is just crazy about those dogs. I never saw anybody treating a dog like a brother. Talks to them. And a stupid dog talks back. He doesn't say words, but, I mean, unbelievable.
So what year did you come to Colorado?
To 1999, 2000.
And how did you hear about Covenant Village here?
Well, I always, read up on whatever I want to do, and then maybe change my mind. But first we had to decide how much longer we want to keep a house, and pray to the plumber, please come out. You know. And we decided that, I decided mainly that in our age, we cannot move in with any of the children because I don't want to. That would be the 3rd and 4th generation. It's hard. I know it's hard. We took care of my mother-in-law and my mother. Not physically at us, because they were smart enough not to stay with us, but financially and all that thing. So we decided in something like this, and we are fairly religious. And
Where do you attend? Do you attend services anywhere here?
Yeah. Some kind of right down the road from us, it's a Catholic church.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, yeah,
But the thing is, I was looking for something like this, read up on kind of things exist and all. And then I also read up on those that go bankrupt and nothing left. Okay? Well, I didn't want to go to the type that goes bankrupt, and who was the chief somehow got the money.
Are you still driving?
Yes, but I don't want to anymore. Well, my wife is driving, she's good, but
She still drives?
she does.
Good for her.
But now she's getting old too,
And what do you do? Are you involved in anything here?
Not now.
In your organization?
Not this year. I used, I used to cook when I took over for my wife at night. And I like food, I like to cook. So I put together a few people and we started what you call it, some call it the kitchen group or whatever.
Okay.
So
Of people living in it?
yeah, we introduced some response papers that you write down how it was it cold enough, was it, okay, take care of it. And in the beginning, now is different. Now we have been bought out by, what is it? Anyway. We are not our own boss anymore. We have been bought out by a large company who supplies the food, supplies the people, and everything else. And according to management, we save money. I don't know, but anyway, I am out of the thing. We are out. And before, we hired only high school students for serving, for cooking, for all that thing, because I like kids. And this is so nice. You know, this, your children's age children, and many get the jobs to be around older people because they have no grandparents. Well, this what we had for about 15 years. But this new company is hiring people who are used to do the job. Kids are too much trouble.
A little different.
Huh?
A little different, yeah.
Yeah, that was more trouble because one of them calls up that, oh, I am not coming in because my mother is sick, I'm not coming in because my little, you know,
Yeah.
and then you always have to have a replacement handy.
Well, we're getting toward the end of this session, Lieutenant, and one question I'd like to ask toward this time is, what advice would you give to young people today growing up in this country as we know it and as you know it? What advice would you give them? What should they know? What should they do at their age now? And likewise, what are the pitfalls? What are things that you think they should avoid, if any?
Well, but this is, as a person or as a citizen, that is two different answers. If you want to know what a young American kid should do, or just a young kid,
An American kid.
because that's the key. You have to know how much you owe this country, but you don't know how much you owe this country because you never saw anything else. Okay? I would take on anybody's on state expense, whatever, okay, and whenever kids are in this formative age, like 16, 17, 15, I would make sure that they can live in another country, but live there, you know, not just go vacationing, live there, and when they put in 2 years serious working, I don't mean school, beyond that, beyond that. And then when they come back to the United States, then you don't have to tell them what to do, because they would get on their knees and thank God that they are here. I've done that many times. And I wasn't on the bottom of the barrel in Europe, but still, what this country is giving you as your country, it just doesn't exist. Well, I don't know what this Obama going to do. He is a communist, and communism doesn't work. Communist is an international thing. They're not Americans, they're not Russians, they are communists. The world, whatever, and that's what he is. I was hoping he's not going to get it a second time, but people don't learn. They don't know how to learn. Now, if all those young people who voted for him, they would have a chance to go to live in Venezuela or even in Europe. Even in Europe, they could go to live in Romania, Bulgaria, Russia. But to be sent there for 2 years is no way back. You work there, you live there for 2 years, and then we welcome you home. Then you're going to have a real citizen coming back home.
Would make a big difference.
It's you know, when I was telling my kids how a different system is, like Hungary was a good state. It was a religious state. That's important, to have a religion. But that's the family. The family have to bring them up religious. You don't send them to Albania to learn to be here. You have to believe in God, and then many other things you believe after that. Okay. It's and most people are very decent and trustworthy. Okay. A kid growing up in a family should know that lying, being dishonest, is the worst sin, or whatever you call it, that exists. If you can't trust your brother, you can't trust your friend. I am not even talking about your spouse. Okay, so that if you cheat on and lie to your spouse, then the family would disintegrate. And after the family, the next family, because you have a child who gets married, that's going to be the...
Goes on and on.
No, that's, if you kill somebody in a big, I know you are really mad, even that to me is less of a sin than being dishonest. That's what I would like to have all the young people to be honest and trustworthy. And that's the family and the religion. Don't make any difference what religion.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Lieutenant Graffy, I'd like to thank you for taking the time and coming and talk to us today.
Well,
and also, you are a credit to your country of birth, Hungary, and to the men and women of the Hungarian situation as you remember it, fighting and flying for them. And you're indeed a great influence and help now that you're an American citizen, and I congratulate you because you are a fine American. Thank you very much.
I hope that that's the way it is, because I like this country.